the ever-changing weather around the world, ever-diverse terrain and roads across the world. With Kumho Tyre that has conquered all, there is no road you cannot go. Go with Kumho. Kumho Tyre.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a massive night for V8 veterans here on the SimSpeed YouTube channel. You are hearing correctly. It is the Split 2 broadcaster, Hamish Munro here, bringing to you a big conglomerate event of all three splits being involved in one race. Yes, we missed out on our final round last week here at Silverstone, but we are back this week for 44 laps around an absolutely fantastic circuit to kind of help fill the gaps between the end of season 14 and the start of season 15. I'd like to welcome into the booth tonight as well the Split 3 commentator, John Van Reed. John, welcome into the broadcast tonight.
Thanks, Hamish. This is going to be an epic event. I've been hearing some of the banter going on between the splits, particularly the Split 1 boys, Split 3 boys, all serving it up to each other. Well, I think we're in for a cracking race here tonight.
I could not agree with you more, John. I am super excited. Obviously, I was a little bit let down that I didn't get to call the final moments of Split 2 last week, being such a close race to the end. But having the opportunity to be able to see guys from Split 1, Split 2, and Split 3 fighting it out for a victory here today, and it's just a victory of bragging rights at the end of the day, is going to be absolutely fantastic, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The bragging rights are going to be huge. But some guys who are making some very big commitments to be here tonight. Jamie McKnight, 21st wedding anniversary. Congratulations, mate. But he's in the rig.
Oh, very, very questionable move from Jamie there. Of course, he makes the setups for everyone in Vets, but to be that committed to the rig, to miss out on your 21st wedding anniversary, I wouldn't be surprised if somehow his partner managed to get in here and bring him out. We're just going to pass over now to John to bring up the track map for us here and give us a rundown of the circuit.
Of course, we're coming into Silverstone, which is in Northamptonshire in England. So we're going to be up around the villages of Towcester, Silverstone and Wilbury, where the 1943-46 RAF Air Force Base, RAF Silverstone, is based, and has then turned into one of the most magnificent race circuits in England, of course. And of course, we start on the Great Hamilton Straight up around the new clubhouse. As this track was redeveloped a few years back, we come flying down into Abbey and turn right instead of left like we used to. And then we come down into Farm, very tough corner through Village and up through the Loop. And then we come back into Aintree and down the famous Wellington Straight into Brooklands, down through Luffield, up through Woodcote, onto the old circuit, where we then start coming back through the famous corner of Copse, quite well known for the incident between Hamilton and Verstappen a couple of years back. And then we come through one of the fastest corners that we've ever been through in a V8 supercar. We come through Maggots, then into Beckett, then down in through Chapel, and then down the slipstreaming run into the Hangar Straight. Into Stowe, where you're basically a third gear corner. You've got to drive the car around at 200 kilometres an hour. And then we run down into the chicane at Vale, back around through Club, across the start-finish line, and we do it 44 times.
Yeah, around about 2 minutes and 3 seconds, maybe up to 2 minutes and 5 seconds on an average lap. You would expect maybe from the faster guys over the race. I think it's a fantastic circuit, John, and I think these guys, it's going to be tough for them, but being that they've now had 2 weeks of practice at this circuit, plus they raced at Coda the week before last, very similar circuits. Do you think these guys and possibly girls if Anita is in here, are going to be able to tackle it here tonight.
Oh, look, this is one of these circuits where I think you've got to have good corner speed. You've got to be able to drive it out of the fast corners, but you've got to be able to also hold on to that slipstream. The draft in the supercar is everything, and this track proves it.
I think not only that, also managing the tyres around here, it's a very tyre-hungry circuit with those fast flowing corners, and being able to keep it on the tarmac is going to be one of those massive challenges that they have here today. Now, I like to talk through some of the danger zones around this track when it comes to either carnage or where we could see some great moves happen. Coming into Brooklands down the inside, massive opportunity for an overtake. Coming into Club down the inside as well. If you get a good exit out of, I believe it's Stowe Corner at the end of the Hangar Straight, if you get a good exit out of there into Club, it can be a great passing opportunity there, but it can go very, very wrong as well. So we've got around about 5 minutes of qualifying to go with Scott Gamble currently in pole, but we're going to quickly go to the race format now for tonight. Of course, 44 laps, John, a probable two-stop, critical lap being lap 25. Of course, you've been racing in split 3.
Yes, I've been racing in split 3. Of course, we only got 30-minute all-open qualifying, which is something we haven't done in Vets for a very long time. It's always been the 2-lap lone qualifier. So that's another interesting part of the format for tonight. And as a split 3 driver, this is going to be really interesting because there's quite a few names, a few of the boys are in here, and it's going to be a real mixed field. So it's not like these guys have done 10 rounds all racing together where they've been in a situation where they've got to know who's quick, they've got to know who to play with. Now, they're going to have a whole heap of mixing names. And, of course, with split 3, a lot of the boys go quicker towards the end of the season and start cracking into those split 2 times to qualify up there for the later in the year. So these boys are really going to be mixing it with the split 2 guys, and I'm expecting the split 2 guys to mix it with the split 1 boys as well. So this is going to be a cracking race, I think.
I think throughout the whole field, and even looking at the standings throughout the whole season, not going to the standings at the moment now, of course, but just quickly, looking at it from a perspective of split 2 was separated by hardly anything throughout the whole field. And then obviously split 1, you obviously had your top end, and then it started to go down a little bit closer towards the bottom, and then split 3 is pretty much the same as well. So to have all these drivers out there who've gained speed over the season and they're slowly building their way up, to have them all mixing it on the same circuit. Now, yes, you are probably very likely to have some split 1 guys up towards the front, but do not be surprised to find some split 2 drivers mixing it with them in around the top 10, even down to the top 15, because they can keep it clean. And that's when, John, you would know as a driver, that's what Vets is all about, is being able to keep it clean over the whole course of the race.
That's right. Stay out of the trouble. Don't be the statistic in the turn 1 accident. You want to stay out of that stuff and then get a good run. Get in the tail of some of the quicker boys. Follow them round. Pick up their lines. Pick up the speed. And then just settle yourself into the race. That's what you got to do here. This is a track where you're not going to win it in turn 1 and you're not going to win it on the first lap. You've got to be smart. You've got to be able to play the fuel game. You've got to be able to play the tyre game. And you've got to be able to know when to peel off. It's a very interesting track in terms of going in for the undercut. It's going to be interesting to see who tries to play that strategy and see if they can make it work at the end.
I think this circuit, you can sort of get into those undercut ranges around this circuit through the strategy plays and stuff like that. Very similar to how Coda works, and even Winton a couple of weeks ago as well. So I think those are going to be the types of things we're going to be wanting to keep an eye on. But this circuit, more so than Coda, actually has some really, really good overtaking opportunities throughout the whole circuit. Obviously those hard braking zones, even taking advantage of people running wide out of Cops Corner or even out of Brooklands as well. Not Brooklands, Maggots and Beckett's as well. So, keeping those sort of things in mind and maybe just hanging back a little bit. Don't push too hard at the start of the race. They can really work to your advantage throughout a race like this where you've got such a spread of talent throughout the whole field.
That's right. Can work for your advantage, but the other problem you've got is once you sit in a car, the green mist comes down and the flag drops and away you go. So,
I know there are many drivers with the red mist throughout all 3 splits, and I think one thing that we could definitely keep an eye on throughout the start of this race is any of the split one guys up the top having a moment and then ending up at the back of the field and having to make their way through the split 3 and split 2 drivers. And I know a lot of the split 2 drivers, they're not going to give up their position so easily. They are hungry to fight for positions, and they are hungry to prove themselves, not only to the viewers, but to the rest of their drivers as well, because they want to say, look, we are actually good enough for split 1. Even though we're in split 2, we only just missed out at the end of the day. So I think there's so many chemicals at play here that could just come together and make a concoction of absolute glorious and excitement throughout. You know, it's hard to collect the thoughts on what could possibly happen tonight because it is unknown territory.
Absolutely.
So, you know,
absolutely.
Sort of being a split 3 expert, you know, do you want to maybe walk us through some of the split 3 drivers, how you think they might actually do?
Well, we might just start a bit further up the list. We've sort of got Todd Martin from Scorpion Esports. So Toddy's a fairly quick driver, a little bit unlucky at Coda a couple of weeks back where he got bumped off the number 1 position by a lap traffic. And the other man to watch out for from split 3, of course, is Robert Brewer. He's another guy, very quick to jump at the gun, very quick with the brakes, very fast driver, knows how to come from behind in terms of passing cars. Another one to keep an eye out for, of course, is Scotty Perrins, probably one of the most improved drivers from Quantum Pecky Performance Racing. He's one of the most improved drivers in probably the V8's field this season and probably across the veterans altogether. Scotty puts a lot of time in, 500 laps a week, gets the job done, and is now starting to show that consistency on track with some good lap times. Simon Farrington's another one to keep an eye out for. He's another one who will push hard, will not step back from an overtake. Shane Patterson, he's another one, very quick driver, up and coming, trying to find his way. Greg Sholton as well is in there. And of course, Dave Worrell, using this as a warm-up for the Bathurst 6 Hour in a couple of weeks. Jeff Sanford, Neil Waters from Player One. They all love their sim racing. They might be down towards the back of this pack, but they're going to have a crack here, I think.
I would not put it past them to do that, and I wouldn't blame them to. I mean, and you know, speaking about maybe some of the split 2 drivers to watch in this race, and I know them people might be calling me out for a little bit of favoritism, but James Boardman is one to watch. He, on his day, can be one of the best in the split 2 field. He has some great pace. He hasn't had as much practice around this circuit, so he might not be up as far as what he possibly could be. Of course, people to talk about at the top end of split 2, Troy Sipple winning the championship. Unfortunately, we couldn't see that final battle at the final round, but you know, he won that championship by being consistent all year, and he was very, very quick on his day. Same with Todd Duggan as well. So we're just going to quickly run down now the championships for split 1 to split 3 as well. So, of course, in very dominating fashion, John, Michael Taliancic winning the split 1 championship after round 9. You know, he did very, very well there to sort of stay up that front end throughout the whole season.
Michael, very competitive driver in Scops, of course, as well as the Pro Series. And of course, in second, you got Scotty Gamble as well. No, previous winner at this event. Previous split 1 winner. John Latham, another guy who seriously has the speed, just lacks the ability with time to be able to convert. David Kirby from Fishy Motorsports. Now, that's a name to keep an eye on as well. Dave, cracking V8 veterans driver, getting quicker. And then in fifth, we had Kenneth Latta. Kenny, of course, coming from Synergy Sim Racing, stepping it up under a lot of pressure from the team boss over there, Jordan Ross, to get results. And I think they'd have to be pretty happy with Kenneth in fifth. Jeff Thomas, a great effort there to be in sixth. Matt Vanderkraan in seventh. Mike Stewart, of course, sitting in eighth from Hypersonic Racing. Michael, of course, you know, quite well known and quite well loved amongst the Vets boys. And then in ninth, we had Christian Smart, another wily old driver in Vets, quite well known from Synergy Sim Racing. And Anthony Visma from Taipan Esports rounded out the top 10. Anthony, of course, for those who don't know, won his first race this season in Split 1, which is a fantastic result.
I think it's great to see some of the improvement in those Split 1 guys, because it is such a competitive market in Split 1 from top end to bottom end. And as you mentioned, Visman getting his first win this season, I think that's an amazing effort from him, and even just to get into the top 10 in Split 1, it's a cracking effort from all 10 guys. We might be able to go into the Split 2 top 10 now, which I am very excited to talk about when getting a chance to. So this championship, and I am very passionate about this, top 2 separated by 1 point between Troy Sipple and Stephen Grech. This championship was going to go down to the wire if it wasn't for iRacing servers going down last Thursday night, unfortunately. But I am super excited for next season. Of course, Troy Sipple winning the championship, 1,164 points, 1 point ahead of Stephen Grech in P2. Paul Burns, P3 in the championship. He kind of came out of nowhere after the first couple of races, and he was just suddenly up, fighting for wins, staying consistent. Scott Weston as well. He was just consistent throughout that latter half of the season, and it pushed him further and further up. Gary Buckland was up there quite a few times. Brian Minogue let down a little bit by a couple of performances that he might have regretted a little bit, but obviously hoping to do better next season now in Split 2 as well if he doesn't qualify to get up into Split 1. Peter Latham, great effort from him. Of course, I believe his brother John was in the top 3, I think it was, of Split 1. So
no, it's his son.
Oh, it's his son?
Yes.
Well then, that's a very talented family pool that they have. Mark Houghton, of course, P8 as well, had a very great early season. Kind of dropped off towards the latter half, but hopefully he can bring it back next season. Darren Goosey in P9, and then Scotty Rattler, Scotty Van Loon in P10 in the championship. Very, very close race. 60 points split the top 10. It's unbelievable how close that was. And it would have been great to see a final round battle, but don't always get that, unfortunately. So maybe, John, you can now run us through your area of expertise in Split 3 in the standings.
Split 3 was another epic battle between Reg James from WKMP, who managed to get that job done against Jason Strange. And then the other battle we had was for the third spot on the podium. Simon Farrington gets the promotion with 1163 from Jeremy Bush with 1162. So that was a great battle. Mark Dial, the godfather of the V8 Veterans League, finished himself in 5th, which is a fair effort considering he missed a couple of races. Toddy Martin in 6th, great drive from Toddy from Scorpion Sim Racing. And then, of course, we had Scotty Perrins in 7th. Rick Hyde rounded out 8th. And then Eddie Cullen from Shadow Sim Sports in 9th. And then Jason Dunn, another one of the quick guys driving very through. He finished in 10th. So Reg James, Strange and Farrington all promoted to Split 2 for next season.
I tell you what, I reckon the driver to watch next season in Split 3 will be Scotty Perrins, because at one point he was very close to finishing in the top 3, and then I think due to those drop rounds, it dropped him down just a little bit, just a couple of positions. But I'm incredibly excited to see how he can go next season, because he is improving race after race.
Look, his racecraft's come on now. Like he's got consistent pace, which is the one thing he was lacking, and just doesn't make the little errors that was costing him before. Yeah,
for sure. So I reckon we can run you through the grid for today's race, if possible, before we start. So starting out of P1 today is Scott Gamble from Evolution Racing Team, and then in P2 we have Mark Duggan from Nova Sim Sports. P3 going to Matt Vanderkran from Synergy. Oh, I can't even read that off the screen.
Angry Birds.
Angry Birds. There we go. P4 goes to Chad Lewis from Evolution Racing Team. P5 going to David Kirby from Fishy Motorsports. And P6, Todd Duggan, a Split 2 driver, making the top 6. Unbelievable there as well.
7th, we have Stephen Grech from Old Mates and Sons. Timmy Nichols from Quantum Pecky Racing in 8th. Jamie, the People's Champion McKnight from Synergy Sim Racing in 9th. Scotty McCune from Hypersonic Racing in 10th. Dan Hall from Evolution Racing Team in 11th. And in 12th, we've got Chad Viger from Angry Birds Racing.
Fantastic. P13, Chris Miller And then P14, we have Travis Hunt. P15, Darren Crosby. P16 going to Greg Sharp. P17, Scott Van Loon from Quantum Pecky's Performance Racing. And then P18 going to Mario Reale for Hypersonic Racing.
And in P19, we've got Rick Viger from Angry Bird Racing and Troy Sipple from Quantum Perfecti Performance Racing in 20th. 21st is Stephen Grumley from SLS Racing. Will Munro from Infinity Motorsport in 22nd. 23rd, Daniel Sheriff from Old Mates and Sons. That's a great effort from the Split 3 driver to get that far up the order. And Lorne McKee from, I think it's now Taipan Racing in 24th.
Oh, so they've made a move to another team before season 15. P25 goes to Peter Latham. P26 to Todd Martin. P27 to Rob Brower. P28 going to James Boardman there. P29 going to James McCormick. P30 going to Michael Power. Michael Power. It says Mick Power on screen, but Michael Power on my timing screen. So Mick Power, P30, of course.
In 31st, Scotty Perrins, the man to watch from Quantum Perfect Performance Racing. John O'Gallan in 32nd, Century Motorsports. Simon Faz Farrington in 31st from Shadow. Richie Barella on the grid from 34th from WKP Sim Sport. Shane Patterson from Southeast Racing in 35th. 36th is Simon Howarth.
P37 going to Jason McCartan. P38 going to Greg Shelton. P39 going to Dave Worrell. P40, Jeff Sanford. And then P41 going to Neil Waters, as I don't think anyone else is actually on the grid at the moment. Yeah.
And we're about to get going here, surely. This is going to be an epic race. Watch for the moves going into the first corner. Watch for the moves coming down as we come down the straight, the Wellington Straight. It's
we are go here. Sorry to cut you off there, John. But we are go here at Silverstone here as we watch Gamble lead the field into turn one. Looking nice and tidy from him there. Drew out the field here. There was something that happened in the background. The Angry Birds car has been spun.
And Timmy Nichols involved in something as well, I think, as we're looking back there. It's all happening. And that's a bit of action. We'll try and pick that up. There it is. Bang!
Big hit there as well.
Looks like Worrell in the background there. The two-player sim boys. The Split 3 boys causing all the carnage here at the moment.
It's absolutely gone off here.
It's definitely Barella, I think it might be.
Yep. Peter Latham, Barella as well.
Yes, Simon Halford on 7 as well. He's absolutely been caught up there. He's missing the whole front end of the car.
It's absolutely gone off here in the multiverse madness of all three splits racing together around Silverstone. I can't say I'm surprised, to be honest.
Though he's going to not have much good aero there. He's going to take a fair bit of time to get back. As we jump back up here with the front of the grid, it's Scotty Gamble, of course, the former champion, or the champion running away, or former champion, sorry. Sally Anchits now. He's running away with it quite well at the moment, settling in.
It's fantastic to see Todd Duggan in the top 5, a split 2 driver, racing in the top 5 right now, taking it to the top end guys.
Yeah, squeezing between Chad Lewis, of course, and then Mark in front. So look out if he gets past Lewis. There'll be a bit of brotherly love going on there, I think, between Todd and Mark.
Wouldn't be surprised if we might see a bit of a rub if those two are sort of hanging out around each other, maybe forcing one or the other a bit wide. Just to run you down now as we come up to lap 2, we'll quickly run you down the top 10 of the race as it stands. Gamble leads the field to Mark Duggan, Chad Lewis, Todd Duggan, Matt Vanderkraan, David Kirby, Stephen Greck from Split 2 in the top 10, Jamie McKnight, Dan Hall, and Scott McCune make up the 10. Oh, that was a wild and woolly first lap, wasn't it, John?
Absolutely. And as we're looking sort of through at the moment, Simon Howarth is still doing relatively well. He's getting himself back in. Worrell's at the very back of the pack, Shelton. So the Split 3 boys seem to be being the ones that have caught up in all the action there. As we continue on, you can sort of see we're starting to settle in a little bit. And Travis Hunt is back in 13th at the moment. He's battling it out. Nice little overtake here behind him with Greg Sharp.
They are starting to form their little trains now as well throughout the field. You know, everyone's sort of just getting into their groove. As we mentioned, just trying to take their time, not force the issue too much. Even though it's only 44 laps, these guys, they're already pushing hard, but, you know, the red mist might have blown away a little bit by this point, and they're just trying to settle in. What do you think, John?
Oh, you'd have to be settling in now. You've got through those first 2 laps. A 2-minute lap, the race has got to start to settle a little bit. You'd be thinking, am I quick enough to get past somebody or not? But you'll probably be happy just to sort of start the tuck in and just see how this all settles. This is pretty much what we can see happening a little bit back here with Toddy Duggan. I think he's just nicely staying in the draft of Lewis in front of him. He just knows what he's got to do here. Just take care of it, and you know, hopefully the race will come to him in a few laps' time as its fuel load start to drop off and the tyre wear starts to come on.
I have to wonder as well how the break might have actually affected some of these drivers, because of course last week's race was cancelled, unfortunately, and then they didn't know if we were possibly going to be racing this week or not. So how do you think that might have actually been playing to the drivers' minds right now, leading up into this race and even at the start of the race as well?
Oh, look, I'd probably say, looking at what I've sort of seen online, boys have still been in the sim, where a few of the other boys sort of made the choice to get out of the sim for a few days, or for the week. So it's an interesting concept in the sense that some are going to be still battle ready, and a few have probably had a little bit of a break, and that break might even help them with their skills here tonight and their reflexes. So yeah, it's an interesting predicament that they've got themselves into.
I'll tell you what as well, looking through the field, and if you've watched Split 2, you do know I like to do this and call out some of the biggest movers in the race. Currently as it stands, P29, Jeff Sanford, and I will warn you, John, it can get loud when I do this.
Oh, I know.
11 positions gained in this race so far. So he's had a great start there, just manoeuvring around some of the chaos that's happened throughout the start of this race. Of course, you know, these drivers just sort of filtering in and out of where they could possibly be, you know, in terms of pace and even just keeping their car clean compared to some of the faster guys up towards the front end of the field. So it'd be great to see how these guys can sort of just start to spread their way throughout and see if anyone can actually stick with some of the faster people just ahead of them as well.
Well, look, he's got Michael Power in front of him. He's just been passed by the recovering Tim Nichols, but I think you'd be happy with that, knowing Tim's a split one driver. I've been racing around and about with Jeff the last couple of weeks in the last couple of rounds, and unfortunately I punted him off in turn one. Apologies again, Jeff. But, you know, Jeff's really come on, really improved this season. It's been great to see him sort of go from round one to where he is now in terms of improvement. So I think just keep an eye on him. I think he'll keep battling away up there, you know, doing quite well, of course, being up that many spots. We'll just see how it pans out for him.
Hey, one thing I've just noticed as well, very interesting as well, the Split 2 champion, Troy Sipple, starting P20 in this race. He hasn't lost or gained anything, but he's just starting to settle in a little bit.
Just going to interrupt there. I've just heard we've got a drive-through penalty coming through for car 888, I think.
So Scotty Perrins
Yes.
drive through.
That might be for the incident that happened in the first lap of the race. Just a word in my ear coming through. So interesting to see what's going to happen. This will be a big play for Scotty.
Yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on him on my end. So he was just entering the pits just then. So I think he will definitely be serving that this lap. So yes, so Troy, of course, Split 2 champion as of last weekend. But he is definitely a driver to keep an eye on throughout this race. You know, he'll keep chipping away, and I'm sure he can make his way up through the field if anything happens throughout ahead of him that might cause some carnage.
Yeah, absolutely. Good little battle going on at the moment between McKnight and Dan Hall.
Oh, big
And
movement
Greg as well. Yep.
Oh, both of them.
Yes.
Out wide. Is that Cop's corner? Yep.
Dan Hall involved in that. Stephen Greg, of course, was in there as well, and I think Jamie McKnight.
Jamie's
A little bit of argy-bargy.
Yep.
There might have been a little bit of argy-bargy going on before that as well.
We'll have to see what the race control says about that one. Whether it's a racing incident or if someone might be copping a penalty here throughout the race. We'll see Jamie now just dropping position, so that car is hurting after that incident there. Let's check a replay of it.
What's the Logitech G replay? A little bit of clip there. It's a tough corner. Tough corner.
Oh, the aftermath of that. Unbelievable.
I'll tell you what, this is Hamilton Verstappen all over again at Cops.
I mean, a little bit further back, but it is almost identical the way that's happened. Just, you know, moving out wide slightly, forcing him out towards the wall. Let's see if there's some contact between them. Or that appeared to be possibly a netcode incident. Possibly, but that one there definitely not. Forced him out wide, but that original one, that might actually be classed as a racing incident because it looked like a bit of netcode there.
Absolutely. Back to live pictures in a sec now, and here we go. Absolutely battling away again as we pick up the battle here. So we've still got Scott Gamble in front, and followed by Mark Duggan, Chris Lewis. Toddy Duggan still in fourth, Dave Kirby in fifth, Vanderkraan in sixth, Travis Hunt in seventh, Greg Sharp in eighth, Jamie McKnight still running in ninth, Chris Funky Miller in 10th, Stephen Grex in 11th, Crosby in 12th, and Rick Viger in 13th, Van Loon in 14th, Grumley, Sholton, Hawthorne and Lyons at the back of the line there. So the boys are definitely still battling through.
A couple of lapped cars there at the back end of that train, but you know it'll be interesting to see. Maybe they can just stay with them, build up a little bit of pace, and then possibly if we get a safety car in this race, you know they'll be right back in it. They shouldn't be lapped if they're able to stay with those faster guys, just pulling them along throughout the race. So definitely not over yet.
Definitely not over. We didn't see a safety car come out of the night incident, so that hasn't plunged the field back up. Of course, such wide runoff areas, it'll be very difficult to see if we do get any safety cars on the circuit tonight. But these boys still racing. Nice little move in there from Farrington. He's definitely having a good crack in here, old Faz.
He's really trying to force his way up the field here. Have to feel maybe he's got something to prove.
Absolutely. Definitely taking it up to Timmy Nichols there a little bit.
So we'll have to see. He's got a couple of wall wounds on that Mustang there. So he's definitely already been having a bit of argy throughout the start of this race. We'll have to see if that continues towards the first pit stop period here of this race. Just checking out the timings now, see what we might have here. Of course, James Boardman as well into the top 20 now, so he's just starting to make his way up through the field, as well as some other split two drivers as well. Mario Reali in there, of course. Scotty Van Loon's moved up a couple of slots into the top 15. So these guys, they've got some good pace about them in split two. You know, it's just about whether they can keep the car straight, keep it clean, and maybe even be up the front towards the end of this thing if some of the split one guys get caught in the carnage.
Definitely. Plenty of carnage that occurred already. There might be still some more to come as things start to sort of settle down a little bit for a change, which is quite nice. And we can sort of see on the screen here, Farrington doing relatively well. Dropped back a little bit from the boys in front of him, but he hasn't given up yet. Car looking very stable as it comes through that part of the circuit. We'll jump on now with Dave Kirby from Fishy Motorsports.
Having a very good race so far. Top five.
Yeah, swimming around in the top five, so I think Michael Whiting, the big fish, will be happy with him running so high in the field, which is good.
That was a nice little fish nod there with the swimming around. I like that one, John.
Fishy boys and me go way back, don't worry.
He's really putting the pressure now on Todd Duggan. He's kind of out of his depths here a little bit. Is the split two driver doing very well though at the moment?
Yeah, Yeah.
Simon Harworth has apparently had something happen to him, but we aren't just double checking, ladies and gentlemen, if or what has indeed happened for you, but just quietly we will sit here at the moment. It's Miller and McKnight. This is the battle for ninth at the moment, John.
There's Funky doing really well, keeping him behind McKnight here. So Chris, of course, has driven quite well this season in Split 1. And seen him in a few other events like East Coast. So he's quite a fast improving driver. He's Funky. Definitely doing well from joining Pecky Performance Racing's outfit. And of course, Timmy Nichols always provides him with a pretty striking looking livery as well.
I'll tell you what, they're very hard to miss on track, and you see one of them, you know, they're quite recognisable. Let's go into the back here. Oh, check out the cam as well. Travis Hunt, we see him in the rig. Currently P7. He is currently leading this pack here, so this is the battle for 7th at the moment. That was between the four guys, Sharp, McKnight, Miller, and then Hunt leading them here.
Interesting to see him already loosening the neck up, trying to get a bit more loose. As if he's starting to cramp up a bit. It's only been 8 laps, so it's going to be see if the fatigue becomes a bit of a factor for a few of these boys.
It definitely could, especially being that it was 2 weeks since they last raced with vets. So, you know,
taking a risk there as well, which is interesting.
Yeah, we'll have to see. If only we could see his eyes. We could watch him if he was looking in the mirror a bit and checking out the cars behind. So that can be one of the things that can really affect these drivers, is getting sucked into looking into the mirror too much. Forget you're coming up to a corner, outbrake yourself. They get the move done nice and easy, and you're picking up the pieces. So it'd be one thing for him to think about here as they make their way through onto the straight.
Yes, Travis, of course, is also one of the great guys in vets who provides everybody with a track map, a track video.
See
advice on how to
Troy
drive
here, getting down the inside of Will Munro there. These guys have had some heated moments throughout the season, and they're going to go 3 wide into Brooklands. Can they get it done? Oh, this is tight.
This is Rob.
Will runs wide.
Brewer's now going to be on the outside.
Oh, this is an absolutely incredible battle from these guys. We'll have to see if James might be able to help Will here a little bit. Of course, they are teammates, both representing Affinity Motorsports here. Maybe Will back Rob back into James a little bit, trying to help him get the move done.
That's right, many times. Rob, of course, been had vets for a little while. And split 3. Oh, why did you start for him? Almost. Of course, Rob, very fast driver. That's time in the rig, of course. That's probably why he doesn't race higher up in the splits in terms of the speed that he does have. But when he does connect the track, he's a fairly quick guy.
It's a great little battle we're getting here. And you know what? It's all for P17. But again, those bragging rights, being able to say that you beat these guys in behind. See James here looking down the inside, having a bit of a sniff. As I mentioned, hasn't had a lot of practice this week at Silverstone, but he's just trying to keep going here, staying with this little pack just ahead.
Of course, with vets though, it doesn't matter if you're racing at the front or racing at the back, there's always someone to race with. You know, and that's why we have over 130 drivers racing every week across 3 splits, 3 different standards of driving. And of course, season 15 entries are out at the moment. I think there's only a handful of spots left, so if you're interested in getting involved, make sure you jump on the V8 Veterans Facebook page, check it out, and you too could be racing with another 130 guys over the age of 40, where as a league it's more of being part of a big family than most other leagues, people racing.
Oh, I mentioned it throughout the season, the split for 2 broadcasts, being welcomed in as a younger bloke into the Veterans family, as a broadcaster. It's great to see the sense of community about these guys. And I know some people don't like me hammering on about it too much, but this race is a great example of how racing can bring a lot of people together from a lot of different skill groups. So I think it's a fantastic series. Some of the best organised racing that I've seen in quite a long while. So anyone, even if you're just thinking about the possibility of joining the series, check it out. And if you think it's going to be a good time, I reckon you should sign up.
Absolutely. Split 3 is the kindergarten of it all. And you work your way up in split 2 where it gets serious, and then split 1 is basically what I'd call the pros. Hence the reason we have a pro team with SimSpeed TV doing the commentary for it every week. It is really the pinnacle. So for guys like Scott Campbell, Michael Teliantic, Jamie McKnight, the most winningest driver in the Veteran Series, these guys take it very seriously.
I mean, Jamie takes it super seriously. I mean, he skipped out on his partner, on their anniversary to race, with his other family tonight. So,
Yeah.
Something to think about here. Stephen Breck at the currently it says P10, P14.
Yeah, P14.
It's his number that was showing.
Yeah. So he's tucking up behind Steve Grumley in front of him.
So Grumley getting the move done there through turn 1 in the SOS racing car. We've seen a couple of liveries on that car this year, of course. That one there, sort of looking more and more like a Coke can, and then they of course also have their art car livery, which looks quite nice as well. You see him there. We'll just cut back here to the top. Oh, this is P3 and P4 here. This is Lewis and Duggan. Kirby just sitting behind there. He might be waiting here to see if something happens, and he can take advantage.
Just about to say, this battle between Lewis and Duggins definitely could be the burley in the water that Kirby needs to attack. And it's going to be interesting to see. Todd's doing really well to hang on here. They've dropped back 5 seconds or 4 seconds from Mark in front. He's managed to try and hang on to a 3 second behind Scotty Gamble, but Todd is really doing well as the split 2 driver. Like, this is really going to bode well, I think, for pre-qual.
He is putting the pressure hard on Lewis here.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's great to see, because it shows like it's such a close gap between qualifying for split 1 and split 2, and even through from the bottom of split 2 to the top of split 3. So it's great to see that even though someone might make split 2, they are still as quick as the guys from split 1. There's just they're much more bunched up in terms of their racecraft or ability or even speed as well. So we're just on the back here of Todd's car, but we'll just cut to check out the battle here of the 3.
Don't rule out Matty Vanderkraan as well, running around at the back of these boys here. He's managed to hang on to that group as well. Like I was saying earlier, this is a circuit where you want to be able to get that slipstream, and Vanderkraan's probably close enough to be getting that. So, having a look on the inside there, it looks like Duggan was
a bit of a moment there, but Duggan has taken P3. So it's a double Duggan podium at the moment. We are a quarter of the way through this race, just about. Lap 11 at the moment. And that...
Nova Motorsport boys doing really well here.
We might see maybe if our special cameraman Daniel might be able to get a replay of that one maybe, because that was I caught the back end of that on my end, and it was spicy. So Logitech G replay here, John.
Yeah, on board here with Toddy Duggan, coming down into Brooklands. Oh, bit of a touch, straight through the gap. Back marker in the mix.
Straight through.
That was a back marker.
Yeah.
So back marker in the mix, not sure who it was. It was Greg Shelton. So yeah, of course, these boys in these higher splits wouldn't say quite used to some of the slower back markers, and the slower back markers wouldn't be quite used to some of the speed these guys come through. Because in split 3, they're pretty generous with how people pass in terms of back markers and everything else. So a little bit unlucky there.
See as well. Scotty McCune here making it, having a nice little battle at the moment.
Yeah, so Scotty's gone with the early pit stop, which is interesting to see here. So, of course, then we think he might have been involved in the Hall McKnight incident earlier on, the cops, but he's definitely got a clean looking straight car at the moment. And of course, only 12 laps in.
Keep his head down here and see if he can make it. I would assume he's going to need another pit stop though, as we do have Sharp in the pits. That one, nice and regular. So
3.3 seconds up on the stop, so I'd say he's taken a little bit of fuel there. Gets himself back out. I reckon we're going to start seeing a few of them roll off for a couple of stops here. Yeah, of course, 19 laps of the opening tank, but if you're going to try that undercut like we talked about earlier, you could be game and go a little bit early. If you're stuck behind somebody and you think you're going to be quicker, you've got to ask yourself, if I pit now and get clean air, am I going to make the most of where I'm going to be at after that clean air?
So these guys have started with 90 litres of fuel in this race. They get 100% refill capacity. I have to wonder... 80% starting fuel, as I've just been told here. So I have to wonder how far they can actually go on that refill.
Yeah. So it'll be the same 19 laps again. So yeah. So 19.
So that should get them to lap 30 for one more stop if they have just pit on this lap.
Yep, 38. So they will have to do 2 stops. Unless they're got fuel saving.
That'll be a quite an interesting tactic for them to try and gain 6 laps of fuel over the course of the race. But I suppose not out of the realm of possibility. But you probably find that their times go down quite a fair bit throughout the race if they're trying to save that much fuel. As we sit now, this is the battle for 7th here. We're on board with McKnight, just in behind Hunt. And these guys, we have to wonder maybe just settling in a little bit here, John, as they sort of approach their first pit stop for this race.
Yeah, it's got to be balanced here. Let the car settle. Take your time. And just, like I said, you got that pit stop coming up. So just allow yourself to be, not falling off the track with the low fuel, poor tyres. Just settle yourself in, take your time, and make sure you're there for the pit stop. McKnight's a good fuel saver, so he know himself. If you can save 1 or 2 seconds of fuel, you might get the jump on Hunt in front of him there. So there's definitely that aspect of your fuel stops as well.
Of course, as well, Simon Farrington has come into the pits, but I think he has just left. Not quite understood. He's coming out of the pits now, so back on track. So around about, I have to wonder, actually, maybe that was a drive-through, actually, because his pit lane...
No, 23 seconds on top. Yep.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yep, so 23 seconds stop. So I'd say that's regular. I'd say he's gone the undercut as well.
Yep.
Which is unusual because Simon's usually the guy who goes the longest in split 3. Trying something a bit different tonight. Of course, he'd be in Discord with the Lathams, so I'd imagine that he'd be getting a bit of information there. So probably a bit of coaching, and someone's made the call to go in early. So I'm interested to see if Pete rolls in soon.
That'll be something to keep an eye on as we are coming into our pit stop period here. As I have just seen a replay on my end that Greg Shelton has also been involved in a spin at the final 2 corners. So just to give you an update on him. Yeah, I think it might have been a bit of maybe a compression rock or something like that coming to the final corner, but just to give the viewers a bit of an update on where he is. If anyone's watching out there wanting to keep an eye on him here today. So we watch this battle here. This has become quite a tasty battle, hasn't it, John?
It has. McKnight's slowly closing that gap, but he's staying in that no, as he closes that gap, he stays in that draft zone that I keep talking about, where he's going to get that extra little bit of fuel, that extra little bit of speed. You know, so Jamie's quite well known, quite a very smart tactical driver is Jamie. So I reckon he'd be happy sitting there at about half a second back, you know, starting to plan that pit stop in the next 2 or 3 laps.
I wonder as well, maybe him just sitting there is just pushing, pushing Travis a little bit as well, starting to scrub those tyres a little bit, just trying to keep ahead, trying to build that gap ahead of Jamie. So maybe Jamie's got that in his mind of, if I actually stick it here, he's just going to keep on thinking about me behind him. Could either lead to a mistake or, again, just scrubbing those tyres and having the worst tyre wear towards the end of this stint, where Jamie could possibly make an overtake before the pit stop.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Jamie putting a little bit of pressure on, but Jamie knows he can get him in the pit lane if he has to, if he's got, if he's used less fuel. So it's going to be a bit of a battle. Interesting to see. John O'Gallen is actually up 11 spots at the moment. He's our biggest mover in the grid. He's up in the 21st. He's doing really well. He's actually tucked up behind Timmy Nichols, I believe.
You say that, John, but as I currently look at my timing screen, there is someone with one more position gain, and it's Neil Waters, apparently, according to my timing screen.
Yeah, I've only got Neil up 6.
Okay, well, maybe mine is wrong, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? Maybe it's because I was still on replay. How's that? Does that fix it? No. You know what? It's not having a good time. Anyway, Gallon, you want to try and do it properly, John?
13 places gained.
Nice. It's spreading.
And Jono doing really well here. He's in a bit of a battle pack. This is where you kind of want to be at this stage of the race. Keep it interesting. So he's got Timmy Nichols in front. He's got James Boardman behind. And then, of course, Greg Sharp, who was one of the early stoppers, a little bit further back again. But these guys here, definitely a little bit racy still. Yep. Nice little swap of spot there with Will getting through. And yeah, these guys definitely going well. And then the other thing we've had happen as well is we've had a couple of guys roll into the pits, and we might just get Dan to have a bit of a replay of Scotty Van Loon.
Kirby's in, apparently.
Yep, it's Kirby comes in to put some more pellets in the car.
So we'll have to keep an eye on the undercut here from Kirby and Vanderkraan on the top 4. Be something very, very interesting to keep an eye on here today.
And we're about to go and have a look at the Logitech G replay. So this is Scotty coming around. So Scotty's just come out of the pits here on a pit exit, and he's nicely had a bit of an incident there with the old son's car in front of him. So that will definitely hurt the exit and hurt the tyres of the car as well. The big spin like that while they're still cold. And of course, the old Mason Son's car's gone for a bit of a, Daniel Sheriff, I think it was, gone for a bit of a spin as well. So let's see what race controls to say what that's got there.
I have to wonder maybe if it was a bit of a turn in, or maybe just both of them kind of coming closer and closer together towards the mid part of the corner. Although that angle does almost look like he turned in a little bit too hard there on him.
This is Scotty coming out of the pits here. So you can see he's given plenty of room as we look there. And I think he was thinking he was going to let him through, I think. And then last minute didn't quite happen.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one for race control for sure. I think he wasn't far enough up to get the move done, and I don't think the car ahead thought he was actually going to go for the move, so he just kind of followed his line there. But
yes, definitely the rattler. rattling Daniel Sheriff's cage there. So out of everyone that's pitted at the moment, Greg Sharp, who went in on lap 11, is ahead of Kirby, went in on 15. So that's a great little jump there from Greg. We did think that the undercut might pay, but plenty of traffic. Well,
plenty of traffic, but we'll have to see how they can deal with the traffic as they make their way up here back towards the front. So it'll be something definitely to keep an eye on here, but you know, that undercut really, you know, coming out perfect example of what to do when in a racing scenario like this.
As we have a look at the comparison pit stop time, so Kirby was 28.1. So, and I think we've got to have a look at what Sharp's pit stop time was. So there you go, Sharp was 22.3. So a lot more fuel's gone into that fishy car, and Greg will be trying to capitalise here and get himself past, I think. Sorry, Greg's got himself past, so he's going to capitalise now on having that lighter fuel load.
6 seconds was the difference between both of them in their pit lane travel time. Interestingly enough, the leader of the race, I believe, is about 53 seconds from these guys. So he is actually at that top end of pit lane travel time away from Kirby here. So, and Sharp. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Gamble plays his pit stop out. See where these guys, whether they pass him in the pits or whether he comes out right ahead of them or right around them.
Expecting Gamble to be ahead though, I think, Hamish.
Yeah.
That would be my guess of it with what is happening. Scotty, of course, looking very balanced with the soldier on car. Got a nice lead from Mark Duggan. So as we reach the halfway point, Mark, of course, will be starting to struggle a little bit with his feet, his health issues that he deals with in the sim every time he races. Remarkable story is Mark. Todd sitting in third. He's nicely got himself out of Travis now. That gap's opened right up. McKnight still sitting in fifth, still to pit. These boys are still running. Funky Miller in sixth. And of course, Crosby is sitting himself back nicely in seventh. And then these guys got a relatively good lead from Stephen Grech. And then Grumley, of course, only 3 seconds further back. Mario Reale just hanging on to the back of these boys. Hypersonic Racing. So these guys doing relatively well. And then behind them is Sipple and Brewer. So Brewer, representing the split three boys, sitting in 12th at the moment. Great drive from Robert. He'd be pretty happy with the way he's travelling there.
Doing very, very well so far, John.
Absolutely, of course. And then comes Sharp in 13th, and Kirby's now going to get him. So these boys battling really well.
Having a nice little battle here. They might want to think about working together here.
Lewis is getting into this as well.
Yeah. So these guys all having a great battle here. This is possibly, as we see a bit of smoke just ahead. I think someone might have actually just gone off track there at the corner here.
Yeah.
Was that Sipple or no? It wasn't Sipple. It was someone else.
What do we want to? One of the back markers, I think.
It was Scotty Perrins. Locked up, out wide. So no damage for him, but he did very well to catch it. But this is a nice, tasty battle here. You know, this is almost a battle for P4. Retrospectively thinking about when those top guys have to pit, these guys can keep their speed up. They're going to be right there.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be game on, I think, after this next round of stops occurs.
Gamble's in.
Yeah, here's Gamble.
And Duggan as well.
Yep. But that lap 19 we thought was the end of the fuel tank.
So going one lap extra, so we have to think maybe he's saved some fuel here.
And McKnight, the fuel saver, is gone as well.
So
Yep, so at the moment we've got Hunt, McKnight, Miller, Crosby, Grech, Grumley, Reale have all not stopped. Yep.
So Gamble out in P8 at the moment.
So, of course, everyone in front still has to stop. Gamble's got a nice little gap up the road from Sharp still, so be quite happy with how that's come out.
Interesting note here, John. Sharp, Lewis, Kirby, Vanderkran have all jumped Todd Duggan coming out of the pits.
Oh, that's a bit sad.
So
That has to be a bit sad.
So,
Yeah. He's filled it to the brim.
Yep. So he's going long here. This could play out to his advantage here because he has got a bit of a gap ahead. So he's got some nice clean air. No one really around him to battle unless John can really put the fight to him. So we'll have to keep an eye out on him through the course of this stint here towards the final pit stop. And a battle ahead.
Yeah, definitely have to come back to that one and keep an eye on that one. There's definitely good battles going on here with this buddy Lewis, Kirby, and of course they're battling really well with Vanderkran as well. So that's all happening of this little group. This is 12, 13, 14, 15. Don't forget, there's about 6 or 7 cars up front that haven't pitted yet.
Also, Hunt and McKnight have gone for another lap. Miller has come in. So
Interesting. McKnight, definitely, as I said before, I thought he was sitting back there just fuel saving, and he's just proven that. That's pretty much what he's aimed for, I think. So for them to go another lap longer is really good. Travis Hunt doing really well with fuel save game. Yeah, I might jump on board with the throttle with McKnight here.
See how it sounds. Although mine's muted for some reason. I think it might be because mine might be set wrong.
McKnight. No, not saving a lot. Just basically getting off the accelerator a little bit early, not doing the big save.
He might be saving that little bit extra at the moment though, being that they are coming up closer and closer to when we would assume they're going to be going in. So here's something to keep an eye on here, John, as they make their way through Maggots and Beckett's now. You have to think they're going to be going in this lap, surely.
Yeah, definitely need to get that window tear off done. Very hard looking outside the screen there. Definitely spent a lot of time sitting behind people in this stint as Jamie McKnight, the old people's champion.
You reckon maybe since he makes the sets that gives him somewhat of an advantage, John?
I don't think so. I don't think it gives him 100% advantage over everybody. I think it might be a slight advantage because he's done more laps as he comes into the pits here.
Yep. So both of them in?
Like, he's done more laps than a few people, but I think, at the end of the day, he's trying to do a set that's going to suit everybody's driving style, not his driving style. And I think that probably makes the difference with Jamie. He's doing sets for the split 1 guys, but he's also doing a set that's got to be driven by the split 3 guys.
Yeah.
So it's a real balancing act.
So as we see, Grech, Grumley and Sipple have also all come in now. So we should get back to our regular sort of standings here of all the drivers. So once everyone's passed this pit stop period, we'll give you another run through the top 10.
Gamble and Duggan have rolled past.
Yep.
So Sharp, Lewis, Kirby, Vanderkran and Toddy Duggan.
Yep. So Toddy back into the top 10 here. Currently P7, so it's not over him. It's not over for him today. He's had some good pace, so we'll have to see how this strategy actually plays out for him. Hunt looking to come out here in P10, and McKnight has actually jumped him in the pits.
Yeah, of course. McKnight's put in 35 seconds worth of fuel as well, and he's stopped. So that's an interesting one, sort of looking at the Toddy Duggan strategy. Very interesting to see the boys around there. They've all gone about that 35-second mark. So those guys up front, like Sharp, has only done that 20-second fuel strategy. So that's going to be interesting to see how it plays out for Sharp as we continue moving forward in this.
Well, it's definitely not over yet because, as mentioned, this is a track that is all about strategy. And, seeing these multiple different strategies over the course of this first pit stop period and the first stint, it's very interesting to see. And I think we're going to see a couple of different ways people go here on the last stop. Some people are going to go short, some people are going to go long. And we're going to really get a better idea of where people are actually going to end up over those final stint, realistically.
Oh, absolutely. And if you have a look at sort of the track map at the moment, you can sort of see that the boys out front, like Gamble's got basically a full track in front of him, or clean track in front of him. He's like, how do I say this one? He's literally probably about a third of the track free. So I expect Gamble to be able to just settle down and just get his pace in rhythm without having to worry about lap traffic, which I think will be quite.
He's going to be able to push on here, which, without the fear of having anyone possibly having an incident in front of him, he's going to have a fair amount of warning if something happens, and he's going to be able to prepare for it before it does, before he comes across it. So he's having a great job so far throughout this race, keeping his head down. Just about 4.5 seconds back to Mark Duggan there in P2. So it'll be very, very interesting to see if Mark can close that gap a little bit here across the coming laps.
And here's the next car ahead of him, which is miles ahead, which is Greg Sholton. Of course, Scotty, when he first came back into the sim, did actually do a split 3 race here with the split 3 boys when he first came back. So he does know how to push onto these boys.
As you see. So this is our longest stint for this race. Is Martin here. He's in the pits now. Todd Martin went, I believe it would have been 22 or started the 22nd lap. So 21 laps on fuel. If he goes long, if he's gone for a long stop here, so 32-second stop, we'd have to assume he's gone for as much fuel as possible. Not the longest.
Just looking a bit further ahead, guys. McKnight and Hall are back together with 0.2 second gap.
Yes, they are indeed. The battle for 8th rages on. Of course, we saw them come together earlier in the race. We reckon we might see a bit of payback here from Hall on McKnight, John, or maybe just make it a little bit harder for him to get past.
Oh, they're both very defensive and some very show my nose driving going on here. So it'll be very interesting to just keep an eye on these two for a little bit. Like Jamie looking very racy. But then Jamie's always looking very racy when he's in traffic. A little bit loose there from Hall.
Well caught. Right now.
I think McKnight might have been a little bit balked on the exit there, which won't give him the speed to get into turn 1.
Smart not to try and send it down the inside at turn 1. Could have ended in tears for them both.
Still a long way to go.
Out behind there is the attack
Travis
from Hunt.
Hunt and Miller are still in this battle as well.
Got them angry eyes on the front of that Mustang, looking very fierce here. Imagine looking in your mirror and seeing that. He's gone.
McKnight.
Oh, right out sideways there on the exit. Did very well to catch that then, but, possibly pushing a little bit too hard to try and get that position off Hall. There, let's see if we can come back.
Yeah, I might just jump on and watch that replay and have a look at a bit of an outboard shot of this one. Just lost it himself, I think.
Oh. What happened? Mr. Drifter really fully sending it round the outside there.
Did very well to hang on to that.
Do you reckon that's a compression lock?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's definitely a compression lock in there, I think. Probably jumping down to first. He's Jamie's known to have some issues with blowing engines and stuff from compression locking, so hopefully he hasn't done too much damage to the car with that.
Well, this really puts Hall now under fire here from Hunt, just ahead. So McKnight going to have to do all that work again to get back up ahead of Hunt here. Unless, of course, something happens.
Of course, these boys battling like this is playing into the hands of Todd Duggan up in 7th.
Yep. And see, Hall comes in, so he probably... Actually, no, he hasn't...
Yeah, he stopped on lap 4, I think, so...
Yep.
Yep.
Well, we saw one car make it 21 laps. Well, yeah, we're going to have to see if he can recreate the magic of Todd Martin, who did 21 laps on that first tank of fuel. So this will be very interesting to watch play out here.
Very, very interesting. We might bring in a special guest, Mark Dial. Mark, of course, for those who don't know, was the godfather, or is the godfather of the V8 veterans. He started the first race 14 seasons ago. Competes, still races in Split 3, and he definitely... Oh, safety car call, safety car. Just heard the call. There's been a safety car called out. Not sure why. I'm not sure that you've seen why, Hamish.
I am just going to check back on my timing tower to see if there's a thing saying if someone's had an accident. Yep, I'm going to check my replay, see what that is, see if we can get it on screen if it's bad enough.
Yeah, Greg Dalton, I think, may have had a spin.
Yep, he's lost it coming out of Brooklands, but he's been in the grass. I don't know if he stopped it though to tow. Yeah, so it might have been somebody else.
Oh, it could have been race control. It's their decision to make a call on that. They might have gone early, but that's their call. So we're under safety car conditions.
Maybe they're pulling out a random safety car tonight. Put a bit of
Spice back to it.
yeah, bit of spice, a bit of excitement into the race. Not that it hasn't been exciting so far.
And of course, we've got the big fish in the safety car tonight, Michael Whiting. So yeah, go to the replay, Logitech G replay, and have a look at Greg Shelton again. Because he did wind up a long way over in the wall.
Oh, that's
and of course that's where Joe ended up inside the wall there.
Yeah, that was Hamilton Verstappen. He's just come into almost the same spot. Now that was Cops there. The crash with Joe was at
turn 1. Yeah. Another one nicely bouncing off the tyres there and probably getting a 0x for it. Good old iRacing at its best. Anyway, while the safety car is out, we might say hello to Mr. Dial. How are you, Mark?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Just stepped in not long ago from work, so that's why I didn't make the race tonight.
Yeah, and of course, you're the man, the Mr. Legend behind the first race in the first season that finished at Coda in the dark. How have you found the series now growing to 140 drivers?
It's been awesome. I never would have thought, but we'd be still going, 15 seasons on. After we only had about 7 or 8 drivers that night. So yeah, and it's amazing just how much it's grown.
Absolutely, it's definitely grown, and I think the community. I think we've now got something like 8 or 9 drivers that have done over 100 races in the series, and a few more not too far away knocking on the door. So it's interesting how it's actually grown, not so much as a series, but grown as a community, which I think you've got to be pretty ecstatic with how it's developed into that sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and you can jump online anytime, have a chat with any one of them. They're willing to help out with anything. Because like I'm building another computer at the moment. I've got Bruce helping me out there. Yeah, it's a really good community to be in.
And of course, you've been battling it out in Split 3 this season. How have you found that?
The racing in Split 3 I do like. They're very respectful. Even the lap down cars, you don't really ever notice them on track. And as everybody knows, I don't run a relative, so I don't know who is lapped and not. But yeah, I don't have a problem with anyone on the track there. It's been really good.
And while we've got you in here, we might actually announce the season best and fairest. So I might just see whether we get the graphic come up for that one. And it's coming up. And congratulations to Reg James on being being voted by the race control as the season's best and fairest driver. So for those who don't know, the best and fairest driver is sponsored by Logitech, of course, and it combines all three splits. And we also do have a most improved. For next season we've got Logitech back, but this season we've Logitech as well with us. So Reg has won himself a X56 VR simulator compatible POTUS joystick. So very big thank you to Logitech for that one. And then we also have a few bits and bobs for next season. We have the Logitech Best and Fairest is back and is still combining all three splits. There's also going to be a league-wide Most Improved, which is going to be donated by Player One Sim Gear. Nova Sim Sport is going to provide a safest driver for each split, and plus SimSpeed are back on board for next season, Dan. So that's fantastic news as well that I'm reading off my cheat sheet here. And don't forget, there's still always awesome racing in V8 Vets.
I'll tell you what, I think Reg fully deserves that Best and Fairest award. Mark, I have to ask you, being that it is now season 15 coming up, does it sort of feel like one of your children almost just starting to grow up right in front of your eyes?
Yes, it does. Actually, it does. Yeah, it's been amazing to watch the growth since the broadcast, or even before the broadcast. The growth was really good, but then the broadcast come along and just really give it a good kick in the pants and got it going. And yeah, well done to Reg too. He does deserve that best and fairest. He's been a great racer all year, all season.
Yeah, Reg came back this season and from a season off, and he just seems to be really enjoying his racing. I've just noticed his attitude and his willingness to be involved, and some things that he's done in the background as well. Like he's been very instrumental in helping with the Split 3 broadcast. And yeah, Reg James is probably, I think, from a Split 3 perspective, a very, very worthy winner of it. So congratulations, Reg.
I'll be very excited to see how he goes in Split 2 next season, because he's had some great pace throughout the season. So we'll have to see if he can back up that nice, clean, fair driving in amongst the almost too exciting Split 2. In how much you could expect from one race. So it's absolutely fantastic. But Mark, what do you reckon is your favourite Vets memory over the last 14 seasons?
The win I took at Nodge Life.
So was that the full 24-hour circuit with the Grand Prix circuit on it, or?
Yeah, I think it was. From memory, yeah. Oh
well, that I don't really like that circuit on iRacing very much. So that is an effort in itself.
Yeah.
And,
I begged for it for a long time to come.
Yeah, it was an experience doing it in the V8. Trust me.
Yeah, only because I wanted to see how the guys in the V8 would handle it, and it proved a worthy track for it. It was in racing. The split one battles that were going on there were really good. So yeah, it was a definite experience to be on that track in that car. It'd be interesting to see what it'd be like in the Gen 3 car when it comes out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see what the Gen 3 car's like when it eventually gets here.
I have to wonder if maybe the safety car might be coming in on the next lap, John.
Safety car's about to pull away from what I'm hearing, so...
Yep, it appears he's going into the pits, so we're not going to be going too wide. They're just going to be going single file here on the restart.
Yeah, it's definitely a single file restart. Expect Scotty Gamble, I think, to be well and truly on his way, I think, coming out of the chicane. I don't think he's going to carry him around onto the straight.
He's gone now. He's gone early. So, oh, big slide there coming out of the final corner. Very well to not lose that rear end. So we are back under racing here, John. Lap 27.
Go
here, so...
Gamble doing really well. This course is going to play into the hands of the likes of Dan Hall. We were worried about his fuel strategy. And, of course, the safety car is going to buy him a lap or two. So, it'll be all good now.
Roy Sipple,
yep,
the winner of the Split 2 Championship. Only on one stop so far. He pitted lap 20. He has been known to be able to fuel save quite well. We'll have to see here if he could actually make it all the way to the end. And if he does, you'd have to think maybe he actually could be right up the front there. And if those front guys have to pit again.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, the battle's definitely, I think, with Sipple, I think. It'd be interesting if we can roll that one out. But it looks like Gamble is settling back into where he was. Starting to turn some reasonable pace. Duggan hanging onto the back just a little bit. And, of course, then we're battling away pretty hard as we sort of get a bit further back into Hunt, McKnight, Miller, Vanderkraan, dropping back a little bit from that. But it's funky. McKnight, that battle's still going on. And, of course, there's battles everywhere through the pack at the moment. John O'Gallen is still up 16 positions. And Richie Barella is up 13 positions. So into 23rd. So a few movers down towards the back there. But Richie is passed by Scotty McHugh.
Biggest mover in the top 10 at the moment. Currently P6, it's Greg Sharp. 10 positions gained in this race so far. So he is having an absolutely cracking race in the ZP Commodore here, 747 car. Let's see if he can take advantage of that one there, John, and keep moving up towards the front.
Definitely doing quite well. Sharp would be the one to watch, I think, for me, coming into this last phase of the race. Toddy Duggan, hopefully
Todd can put some pressure down when he wants to. It's whether he can stay in the kitchen with the pressure from behind. So let's see how he goes here over the course of the final 14 and a half laps. It's 15 and a half laps because we're on lap 28.
As you said, Toddy's in the kitchen cooking, and I reckon he'd be thinking of a nice little fillet of fish in front of him as he tries to put a bit of pressure on Dave Kirby.
Yeah, he's got him hook, line and sinker here. We'll have to see if he can get the move done. Just want to be able to stay with him. Maybe even just force the mistake. Make it a little bit easier.
Of course, Kirby putting a lot of pressure on Chad Lewis from Evolution Racing Team.
Yeah, so interesting to see how defensive Lewis gets here. That could even cause an incident as well.
So, team boss Brenton O'Brien and having pretty chuffed at the moment, having two of his ERT cars in the top three. So let's see how these boys battle this out. Of course, there's still battles everywhere, as I was saying before. Greg's battling away with Grumley as well. So it's a lot of guys passing all up and down the pack.
Not just that, but a classic split 2 trilogy battle here between Rattler, Latham and Boardman. Rattler's built out just a bit of a lead over Latham and Boardman here, but Latham and Boardman have got great pace. Well, they've shown it throughout the split 2 seasons, so these guys could easily come back here, catch up to Rattler, and really put the pressure on over the final part of the race.
Yeah, of course, Scotty enjoys a little bit of pressure, so we can see how he can handle it. Of course, when he first started in split 3, he was probably one of the most nervous drivers. It was basically, I think he'd done 2 races when he turned up for his first race, and then stalled it on the grid up near the pointy end. One of the most nervous drivers I've ever raced with in split 3, and you literally said 2 words to him sitting on the grid, and you could just hear the nerves with him. And of course, that Nordschleife race was the birthing of Gunther von Nordschleife, aka Dave Worrells, stitching up Scotty Van Loon with a bit of an accent. And then Scotty stalled the car on the start line.
It's a great man.
It's a great little battle.
Who is that coming
Stephen
off
Greg.
back onto the track?
Stephen Grech, I think, involved in that. Bit of Grech action.
Once again, we have seen it throughout the split 2 season, just a couple of mistakes catching out, and I think that's one thing he's really going to want to be working on for season 15. So we'll have to see if he can come back here, maybe make his way further up the field, just keep his head down over the final. Yeah, he's getting that slow down serve down the straight, so he's going to be dropping a couple more positions here. Check out the replay here. See what might have sent Grech out wide at Cops. He's in on the inside. Oh, he's got the front end, and oh, that was very lucky to not be much worse than it was.
Yes, John O'Gallen doing very well to hang on to that. Thought Jono was about to say bucket. As we continue on, those boys battling along relatively well. Of course, only 14 laps to go here. We were talking before about fatigue and things like that starting to kick in. So remember, these guys have been in the chair now for over an hour, and you know, if you think talking about veterans here, so a few of these boys will be carrying a little bit of arthritis and a few things like that. So I'm starting to get a bit uncomfortable. It's starting to affect their concentration and their fatigue levels.
It's one thing to easily forget about when watching these guys race, because they race like young blokes. Just going full send, and going for those moves, and yeah, and I mean, again, as we've been mentioning, 2 weeks off, well, 2 weeks without a race, necessarily within vets, you know, that could all be just leading factors into possibly seeing this race go off here over the last 14 laps, John.
Oh, absolutely. I know myself that, you know, depending on which track you've raced at, on Friday, it's pretty hard to get the old body moving and going again. And you take this serious. You're here to have fun, but you're also here to be competitive and enjoy racing around the guys you're racing around. And that's what these boys are doing. As we continue on here with the battle between Richie Barella and the Rattler. So Richie, of course, missed quite a few races at the start of season 14. His young bloke Joshy in hospital with COVID and then pneumonia, so we kept Richie out of the seat for a while. But Richie's back. We're all excited for season 15. We're ready to go again.
Yep, I was just checking that out on mine. I was about to call it out. He's had a bit of a spin here at the final section. Final last couple of corners, we've on the replay. As we see here with him.
Looks like he's just lost it himself.
Yep, had a bit of a pirouette there. Done well to wait and not actually impede anyone really.
He's done very well to get that back on track. A very easy spot to get caught up, or someone else get caught up in your accident. As he continues on with Daniel Sheriff behind him.
So these guys all fighting hard to get to the top end. One thing that I almost completely forgot about was to recognise the chat for today's race as well. So just to give a quick shout out to everyone in the chat. So Stressed Budget Racing, Michael Schroeder, Stephen Murray, Paul, Ben Anthony, Arspec Australia, The Hoff. Welcome into the chat here on SimSpeed. Great to have you all here, and great to see you guys all getting involved in the chat for this race as well.
Yeah, definitely nice having these guys here. It's definitely still going here. Lewis only just hanging on to Kirby in front of him. Toddy Duggan looking into this battle as well. He's hanging on, still get that slipstream. These guys here, Sharp, Hunt, McKnight. This pack is getting really exciting. Funky Miller in the back of this group as well.
This battle is not over yet, and it is getting more and more fired up as they come up now towards the latter portion of this race. We've got around about, well, we've got 12 laps to go, John. As you would know, especially as a Vets driver, anything can happen in those 12 laps.
Oh, absolutely. If it hasn't happened, it can happen. Just keep an eye. There's a few back markers still getting caught up in a little bit of traffic. A few guys still seeing them sort of pop off the track here and there. So it's going to be very interesting to see if we can work our way through some of this lap traffic. These guys are about to catch up with the mid pack.
So this could also be one of those factors that actually allow someone to get past. I mean, we saw the incident happen earlier between one of the back markers and one of the guys up the front, you know, just getting caught in together. And I believe it was Todd Duggan getting the move down in between them, you know, splitting that gap at Brooklyn. So let's see if it can come into play here towards these next couple of laps as they approach them. We'll hit it now. Scotty Gamble, currently P1.
Yeah, so the first lap car in front of Scotty, still a fair way up the track. He's just coming into Stowe at the moment.
Yep.
It's his length, so it's the length of the hanger straight, but you know that'll close very quickly. But we've still got a little bit of a mix-up in the pack there as the guys clear themselves out. Simon Harworth is going to keep spinning, doing well for a split 3 guy. So Stephen Gretsch just getting past Pete Latham. So Pete, of course, one of the older statesmen of our Veterans League. To give him this perspective, is father of John Layton. It's great to see a father and son. We've got a lot of brothers racing in the series, but this is our father and son is a little bit unique.
I cannot even comprehend that, to be honest, because at a minimum age of 40, and you would assume he would at least be 18 years older than him, if not a lot more. That's quite extraordinary. I mean,
Just going to zoom.
if we can get it.
Now let's see if I can get it on my system. Fossil, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Peter Latham, also known as Fossil. I guess that's how you tell the two apart.
I think with the paces he drives at, he ain't no Fossil.
No, I mean, he was incredibly quick over the split 2 season. As Mario Reale has had a moment there coming into Brooklands. So see if we can get the Logitech G replay up. Check that one out.
Plenty of action are going to happen, I think, in the next 11 laps.
Yep, as you mentioned, that fatigue coming into play. We'll see it here as he comes in. locks the rears, loses the rear end.
Did very well not to get caught up in someone else there.
He done well, very good mindfulness there to hold those brakes, making sure he doesn't roll out too far, or even just be able to come back on track and get in the way of someone. So he actually has a fairly good racing mind about him. Does Mario to try and stay out of the way of people when he has actually had an incident. So very good example there from him to do that once again. As we go back now to the battle between Lewis and Kirby. Oh, he's round!
Oh,
Unbelievable!
that was huge.
Unbelievable. We'll see if we've got a replay of that one as well.
Yeah, and let's go to the replay. They're on the radio. Racing.
Oh. Had a bit of spice. So here we are, start of the hanger straight here. See them get heated up the hill.
This is looking a bit fishy.
Oh, it is. There's fish in the water coming down around the outside. We'll see them as they come in.
Side by side.
Corners.
Oh,
Yep, body Duggan.
Body, bang.
Well, that almost looked like his rear end was already going, but unfortunately not able to pull it up in time.
Yeah.
So that one, quite unfortunate there for Todd. I'd like to see if he maybe gets a drive-through or something for that.
Leave that to race control.
Yep, that's up to them to decide.
Yeah, some sit on. Todd still sitting in fifth. So he's still going. Doesn't look like he's had too much damage on the car from that. So he's come out of that reasonably okay, I'd imagine.
You'd have to think even if he does perhaps get a drive-through or something, he's still going to have some bragging rights over those guys' line, saying, "Well, up until this point, I was beating you guys. You know, this is." Again, we talked about it. Those bragging rights over the other splits around you. I see McKnight and him having a nice heated battle here.
Yeah.
Back into, mentioned at the start of the race, one of the danger zones.
Yep.
And it could either mean carnage or excitement.
Knight's got the job done. So probably think there might be maybe a little bit of aero damage to the Duggan car. Not quite sure. There's a little bit of damage on the left front.
So he's starting to slowly wither away here through a couple of incidents. You see the mark on the side of the car, that Nova SimSports logo all scratched up there.
And Travis is having a bit of a look here as well.
Travis is starting to get a bit impatient with Todd here. These guys have he wants to stick with McKnight because he's having quite a heated battle here throughout the race. So this will be...
Keeping on Funky Miller in the background too. Funky Miller's definitely in this as well.
So these guys are not giving up yet. We've got 8.5 laps to go here in this one as they come up towards Cops. And as mentioned, it's starting to go off in typical Vets fashion. That, as you mentioned, John, the fatigue. A little bit of a catch there from Todd coming out of Cops. Yeah, that fatigue just starting to come into play possibly here.
Yep. And not to mention too, as we're starting to wind these laps down, tyre wear will come back into it as well. A few of these boys having a few hits, spinning them sideways, smoking the tyres up to get pointing in the right direction again. Those tyres ain't going to be very happy for the back half of this race.
We'll have to see how hungry Travis gets here to get that move done on Todd, because they are etching closer and closer towards that checkered flag.
I think he needs to be careful too, because he's starting to get Crosby lurking under the back of these boys as well.
Yeah, and he needs to be careful not to push those tyres too hard to stay with Todd. You don't want to get tyre scrub around here. Many of those fast corners, you can lose that rear end very easily. So it is always something to keep in the back of your mind. And this battle is, as mentioned, it's far from over. These guys are racing for sheep stations at this point.
Absolutely. With Kirby racing for tuna farm in third spot. Duggan in second, Gamble still in third. Good gap either side there. Those guys are sort of spread out a fair bit. Greg Sharp hanging on to the back of Kirby, McKnight hanging on to the back of him. So these guys having a cracking battle here.
He's getting that fuel save happening in the Commodore. Oh, he's run wide.
Oh no.
Sharp looking to get the move done round the outside. Can these guys keep it clean?
Looks like it.
Excellent racing from both of those boys.
Wait till we get the cops.
Yeah. Love to see if we get a recreation of Hamilton and Verstappen here.
Not this time.
Kirby nice and smart to keep it behind. Smarter than Hamilton was to try and shoot it up the inside.
Continuing on. Some Maggots and Beckett's.
Looking behind as well, we see McKnight there. He's going to want to try and stick with these guys. You can see that they're getting a little bit wild and woolly here. He wants to take advantage if something happens.
Oh, absolutely. Jamie will definitely be looking to see what he can do. Don't underestimate Jamie. He's had that second stop on a safety car. He'll be pretty happy with his fuel. He'll be racing pure pace now. He's probably
Trying to get
this
this
close.
It's not quite close enough, it appears, to get the move done.
Here we go.
He looks to be on the attack here.
Here we go.
A bit early though. Might have been trying to force the late break there on Sharp ahead, try and make him go out wide, get the move done nice and easily, but Sharp recovers and brakes accordingly.
Keep an eye on McKnight here. I think coming down in turn one, McKnight definitely tucked up right under the back bumper bar of Kirby.
Yep, he wants to try and pitch 10 here. Oh, see the tyres there.
The
It's
hard
starting to break car.
Down to the hard break. I reckon down into Brooklands we might see the next move happen.
Could very well be. We mentioned it was one of those hard braking zones.
Don't forget Toddy Duggan is backed up. Hunt, Miller and Crosby behind, and Dan Hall starting to latch onto the back of that group too. So McKnight, he probably thinking to himself, I've got to get out of here. I've got to get going. Otherwise I'm going to have a tsunami coming behind me.
Hunt has gotten the move done on Duggan as well.
Oh, Kirby.
He's fuel saving coming into that corner there. And it is...
Here comes McKnight. Look at the
Here we
pedal
go.
behind.
Teammate down the inside. Can he get it done?
Knight's through, I think.
Oh, they're side by
Knight's
side.
through. Knight's
They're going to come through cops.
He's
And
the
he's
people's
gotten
champion.
it done. Great job from Jamie McKnight there to get it down the inside.
The old people's champion does it again.
You'd have to think maybe Kirby just gave that one up knowing he has to fuel save a little bit. Knowing it wasn't worth the incident if he pushed it too hard.
See how those boys behind me, they can start to latch onto the back of these guys now. As you can see them sitting there. You've got tucked in behind Duggan. And then behind Duggan, of course, you've got Hunt, Miller, Crosby. So there's battles everywhere at the moment in this mid-pack.
This has let Sharp build just a little bit of a gap here back to these two. Let's see if these guys can make their way up, close that gap, put the pressure on him. We're not too far away from the end now, John.
Absolutely, and as you said at the start, these boys are here to make a point and make a statement going into season 15. Definitely plenty of that going on. McKnight starting to walk away a little bit here. Whether he's got enough to get back up onto Sharp is another story. That's only a 1.5 second gap. Still enough laps left. He's in trouble.
Bit of a lock there.
I think fuel saving and tyres are gone here.
Yep. I think you are right as well. I'm just looking at my replay screen here. Mark Duggan was very close to getting caught up with one of the back markers, Simon Howarth. He had a bit of an incident, but managed to make his way through. So just to give an update on that one.
Oh, here comes Funky Miller.
Funky down the inside. Can he get both of them?
Funky time.
Oh, I bet you right now, those guys not wanting to be taken to Funky Town. Oh, that was so close then.
Travis Hunt almost bought the ticket there. himself through.
These guys battling hard, battling fast. They've only got 5.5 laps to go. They know that they need to push hard if they want to get the result. You see Hunt on the inside. He's gotten the move done here. And Kirby's fuel saving. Oh, these guys are trying to go too wide through Maggots and Beckett's.
Yeah, this is
Questionable tactic for sure, but the car control from these guys, unbelievable to see. And I'll tell you what, it's a great example of some great racecraft. Don't always look at it, of course.
Oh, here we go. Hunt go on the other side.
Looking to get down the inside here of Kirby. Oh, nice and tight through the right. Kirby's going to come back here, though, into the final couple of corners, John.
It's still cracking in here. This is quite exciting. Hunt's going to come. Kirby's not going to lay down here.
Oh, gets the move. But Kirby going to try and stick with him as they come on to lap 39 of this race. We've got 5 to go. Oh, sorry, 6 because it's +1.
Continuing on, you can see Hunt's got past Kirby, but Crosby and Hall wanting to have a look in this battle now as well. And of course, Chad Feiger's latched onto the back. Vanderkroon as well. He's latching onto the back of this group as well. Toddy Duggan in all sorts of hurt, but he's managed to come back, so obviously he's cooled his tyres down a bit.
Well, P5 at the moment.
Yeah, he's done very well to lose one spot to McKnight.
But he's up one from where he started the race.
Unlike Greg Sharp, who's up 13 position.
That's going to become a split 3 regular now. I can already tell.
Sitting in third, so he's done really well, Greg. He was a bit questionable about that early strategy, and it's definitely paid off for him.
Absolutely phenomenal from him. Of course, the gap up to Mark Duggan, though, is looking around about 7.6, although it is dropping slightly, 7.7 seconds between second and third place. So Sharp here just looking to hold on to P3. Maybe a bit of a hope and a prayer that one of the top 2 make a mistake and he can get past them. But all of these guys in this battle, they want a taste of that simulated champagne, John, and these guys are not giving up anytime soon.
That's right, and don't rule out the People's Champion, McKnight. He's only sitting 1.1 second back from Sharp as well, so there's still enough time for Jamie, if he's good enough, to celebrate his 21st wedding anniversary on the podium.
Maybe the question isn't if he's good enough, it's if his wife or partner doesn't actually unplug the PC before the end of the race.
Is that true? He's definitely cleared out from the boys he was battling with before. He's got himself 4 seconds up the road from those guys. But there's still battles going on. This has been very eventful with 5 laps to go. It's for what we're calling the unofficial race. These boys are definitely going hell for leather to try and get a good result here.
They are racing like worth championship points. I mean,
plenty of bragging rights.
I'll tell you what, one thing to remember over the course of his last 5 or almost 4.5 laps now, Todd Duggan is not one to give up a position easily. He does not get flustered very easily in these races, ladies and gentlemen. So he's going to be taking the fight to these split 1 guys all the way to the end of this race. You better believe that. So he is going to be someone to keep an eye on now, and he's going to be someone that I am, to finish, if he can finish 5th as a split 2 driver, is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely done well. Of course, growing up with Mark, you'd have to be fairly competitive. So you've definitely seen that rub off on him here. So definitely some good performances being seen by quite a few of these guys. Travis Hunt's still in the mix here as well. And then, of course, Crosby, he's still running around in the top 10, up 6 spots. No, this whole battle here from sort of 4th back to 10th has just been phenomenal.
Been an absolutely great battle here. See Hall trying to have a sniff down the inside.
That just bailed off into the pits. Travis Hunt's pitted.
And I'll tell you what as well, we'll see if we can get a replay on this, as Scott Perrins has actually had an incident back in the field, and I've just checked it out. It was not a very nice one for him, but if we can get a quick replay of that one, that'd be good as well.
What'd you take replay?
Yep, so he had a drive-through.
It looks like it. He's back on track, so yeah, would have been drive-through. It's incident points.
Oh. So the some would say the caveat of racing on iRacing is the game can also, or the sim can also give you penalties as well. So pushing a little bit too hard throughout this race.
Yes, very unfortunate.
It was Scotty Perrins.
What's happened to the old Scotty? The old Logitech G replay. Scotty looking fairly racy here. Oh, Neil's just spun in front of him.
Yep.
Yep. First on the scene of the accident. Unfortunately.
Good that he's a first responder, but bad that it was during a race. So
yeah, a little bit unlucky for Scotty, that one.
He'll come back strong in season 15 regardless. So as we now sit with the leader, Scott Gamble, we go from one Scott to another, up to the front of the field. John,
Scotty,
he has just controlled
really
this race, hasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, action is on. Dan Hall
and Crosby.
That move.
Definitely very racy in this group here.
I reckon maybe if he can't get the move done before the last lap, he might just send it down the inside.
Wouldn't surprise me.
He keeps on looking to have a bit of a sniff, so I think he's only going to get more and more impatient. See, Todd and Chris have actually started to pull away here a little bit from these guys, but these guys are having a hell of a battle.
Don't forget too, you got Dave Kirby in front there. We know Dave was trying to stretch some fuel. And there we go. And we know Kirby was having some tyre issues, but he may have cooled them off by now.
He's done very, very well there to pull that car up. Yep. He's in the pits. So the winner of Split 2 last season, moving into Split 1, Troy Sybil having to come into the pits for a 7-second stop for fuel.
Old splash and dash.
Yep, that one is that one's, they've put the gun in, push the trigger for a moment, taking it off, and that's it, you know. So unfortunate for him, but hopefully he can improve some of the strategies. He has some great strategy plays in Split 2, so hopefully he can just keep on growing, keep on improving, and maybe even just stay in Split 1 at the end of season 15.
His teammate Funky Miller, though, he's still having a good battle with Toddy Duggan. This is the battle for 5th and 6th.
Yep, these guys having a cracking battle here. Todd very unlucky to just not be able to put a complete season together in Split 2, because he could have very easily been one of those 3 drivers to get that automatic promotion, but I'm sure he'll be fighting hard over the pre-qualifying stage to try and get into Split 1.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely expect big moves from Todd. Expect him to be one of the big movers in Split 2 next season. Being coached by Mark, of course, and having teammates like Matty Parker in Split 1. You can only get quicker when you're practicing with guys that are quicker than you. So
yeah, Hunt and McCune starting to have a nice all too wide into the final section here. Nice and tidy there from them.
So
very well.
Travis up into 12th. So you enough. Only 2 laps to go though, and Scotty coming back at him.
Yep. Full send down the inside.
Some big moves. Looking out wide, not going to get it. Oh!
He's going for the send down the inside. Can't get it through though.
How they did not hit, I don't know.
Do you reckon if that was a split 3 move, there would have been a hit there, John?
Oh, absolutely.
I think maybe half the split 2 field that probably would have occurred as well. So, but it's Simi. He's going to try and get on the inside of Brooklyn's.
Oh, look.
He's got the job done here.
For the second time. Can he hold it? That's the question.
Yeah. And can he keep it in front here of the hypersonic car?
Definitely. These boys have been going now for an hour 36. There's going to be some tired bodies out there in this race.
I'm sure it's getting a little bit past some of these guys' bedtimes as well. So I'm sure, a bit of tiredness. You'd have to hope they didn't have a tough day at work here today. So,
Damien McKnight and Greg Sharp. That looks like that's really closing up now. That looks like an epic battle for third.
yes, they've had some back markers around them. I'm just going to keep an eye on just in behind here as Todd Duggan and Funky are having a hell of a battle. Or as you see Funky trying to get down the outside, but Todd trying to defend here. He knows he's only got 1 lap to go before he finishes in the top 5 of this race. Oh,
Crosby's gone.
I guess that is not.
Hey.
It hasn't forced the move on Dan. He's gotten it done for free.
Final lap. Can McKnight get himself on the podium in the final lap? Can he do it?
Well, he's going to definitely fight hard and fierce for sure against Sharp here. We'll have to see. Maybe he can push the dagger even deeper as Chad Vigor has gotten a drive-through for Black Flag incident limit. But we are on the final lap, ladies and gentlemen. Lap 44. And these guys, they are not letting up here, John. They are fighting hard all the way to the end.
Definitely expect McKnight here to have a bit of a crack at it. And on as well, back with Todd Duggan.
Yep.
Always Miller, and then of course
trying to get on the outside.
Yeah, and don't forget you've got Kirby Halls battling behind, so there's still plenty of battles for this top 10. It's Funky. Looks like Todd's got a little bit of legs on him here. Funky's last chance is going to be going into the chicane, I think, the last 2 corners.
Quite possibly.
A little bit wide. Who's
just ahead.
in front there? Is that the back market?
Lap car, so you're going to let them pass here. And I'll tell you what as well, Scotty Gamble is coming up to Stowe and towards the final couple of corners as well.
And Sharp McKnight, this is probably their last chance.
It really is.
Coming in through club. We'll jump on the Scotty.
Gamble is about to cross the line, takes victory here at Silverstone.
Great drive from Scotty.
Unbelievable, but this battle is enticing all of us.
I reckon Sharp's going to stay on the pointy end, I think.
I reckon
and he's going round out the podium.
He's really put a strike into the heart of McCartan. Duggan, we see Funky trying to get down the inside. Duggan, what a great effort there to finish P5 as a split 2 driver.
He just by a drop of a hat too, half a car length on that one. So great drive there from Todd. What was that?
Unbelievable.
Wow. Plenty to unpack here. Scotty Gamble, P1, 7 up the road from Duggan. Sharp in 3rd. That rounds out our podium. McKnight, the People's Champion, celebrates his 21st wedding anniversary, coming home in 4th with a great recovery drive. And of course, Todd Duggan, the split 2 legend, gets himself into 5th. A great drive. I'm sure he'll be chuffed with that result. Chris Funky Miller in 6th. Dave Kirby in 7th. Dan Hall in 8th. Darren Crosby in 9th. Matty Vanderkran in 10th. And then Travis Hunt 11th. Scotty McCune in 12th. Timmy Nickel 13th. Chad Viger brings it home in 14th. Brumley 15th. Rick Viger in 16th. Pete Fossil Latham in 17th. Yep. And that really rounds it all up, as we can see the official results on the screen.
Well, unofficial, because there might be some post-race penalties. We'll have to see what might happen I have a feeling race control, if they didn't finish giving out their penalties in that race, they might have a long night ahead. But what a race, John, eh? That was unbelievable.
It was. The boys have put on a very entertaining evening with that one. Never disappoint the old V8 Vets. Always very entertaining.
Yeah, it was absolutely cracking. I can see on my screen they're already starting to get the burnouts out. Of course, next week being pre-quali week, and then we go racing once again for round one. I believe it's at Magny-Cours, isn't it, John?
Yeah, it is Magny-Cours for round one. I might just quickly jump back on that, Stan. I did say Hunt, McHugh, Nickel, Viager, Grumley was 15th. 16th was Viager. Peter Fossil-Latham was 17th. Scotty the Rattler Van Loon was 18th. James Boardman was 19th. Stephen Greck in 20th. And then Chad Lewis, Murray Ariali, Jason McCartan, Robbie Brewer did really well for a split three driver. Then John O'Gallen, Richie Barella, Mick Power, Will Munro, Toddy Martin, Troy Sipple ended up in 30th after that late flash and dash. And Shane Patterson, Daniel Sheriff, Simon Farrington back in 33rd. Scotty Perrin 34, Lorne McKinney 35, James Comic 36, Dave Gunter Worrells 37th, Neil Walters, Jeff Sanford, Greg Sholton 2 laps down, and Simon Harworth, Ty Burns I don't think took the start, and nor did Darryl Lyon. So big thank you early retirements, and of course big thank you to the boys in race control as well. You know, they dedicate their time to jump in and do everything for these Vets boys as well. So a big thank you to them.
Just before we drag these guys in, I'd like to thank Luke and Cam for the efforts that they're putting throughout the season. The drivers for turning up week in, week out, doing a great job keeping it alive. And while I got all you three, Daniel, Hamish and John, the broadcasting has been fantastic through the season. So thank you for that too.
That's all right, Mark. We do the best we can, mate. Try and make it entertaining. And I know split three with the kitchen, we try and make it something a bit different as well that everyone can enjoy.
I try to bring a bit of youth to veterans. I know it's a bit of a cheeky one to throw out there, but you know, no, it's been good. Been incredibly fun. Hope to continue in season 15, and yeah, it's fantastic. You know, great championship, great bunch of guys and girls, and yeah, I think I'm excited to see who ends up in Split 2 next season, because I was turned into a believer, and I was so invested throughout the season that I was heartbroken to not get a final resolution last week, but these things happen, and that's racing. Yep, Mark Duggan in there as well, so we'll get Scotty in first, being that he won the race. Scott Gamble, congratulations, you are the winner of the unofficial V8 Veterans Multiverse Multi-Split special event.
Thanks, Hamish. Yeah, well, it was a cracker, wasn't it? It was good fun, and it was good for the V8 Veterans admin guys to put it on for us. You know, we practiced all week, and we got iRacing had its little thing going, so we couldn't finish the last round, and to be able to do it tonight and finish it off for the practice we put in was much appreciated by them for putting it on, and you guys for broadcasting it. That's awesome.
That's all right, Scott. So you qualified quite well. In that first stint, you sort of, surprisingly, you pitted a little bit early. We thought you were going to go a bit longer with your fuel, and a few of the other guys went sort of 2 or 3 laps longer. Did you think there was a bit of an issue going on there, Scotty, or you were pretty comfortable?
I had to pit, mate. I had 0.8 of a lap left in the tank.
So they hadn't been saving as much as the others.
No, not at all. I wasn't sure how much pace Mark had, and he had good pace early, and I was like, well, I'm just going to push on and see what happens, you know. Yeah,
it's good to see Mark back in the rig as well. Mark is coming back from a holiday, so I was expecting him to be fresh, and he delivered really well. So we might have a quick chance for you, Scotty, to say a quick thank you to your sponsors, and we'll have a chat to Mark, who was our P2 man.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks to Logitech G, big sponsor over at Evolution Racing Team, and without their help, and we use their gear, so it's fantastic. The direct drive, the pro wheels, and the pro pedals, love it. And to the guys in the ERT team, they're always helpful. Always, you got any issues or anything, you just got to ask them, and they'll point you on the right way, especially with iRacing. So big shout out to the guys, and to all the drivers for season 14. It was a good season, and congratulations to Michael Talianic, who won it, first place champion. So good on him, and and to the admin and everyone that's involved. Thank you. It's been fun, and we'll look forward to season 15.
Thanks, Scotty.
Scott. Mark Duggan, P2 today, mate. Great result for you, and great result for your brother as well, to finishing out in P5.
Yeah, absolutely. Todd's done really well, and I want to know what he's been taking while I've been in Thailand. He's had a couple of wins at the back end of the season in Split 2. Tonight he showed he's got great speed, and he's come along leaps and bounds in the last month especially. So looking forward to what he can do come next season. And congratulations to Scotty Gamble, class above tonight. He's just way too quick, and he's a genuine great guy, always willing to give you some information if you ask for it. He's a real asset to the league, and it was a great drive from him tonight. I enjoyed myself. It was good to get back in the rig. My right foot is burning like you wouldn't believe it, because I got a lot of nerve damage, so I made quite a few mistakes in that last five laps. I was just begging for it to be over, but hung in there. I'm happy with P2. Another great setup from Jamie, and it was an enjoyable night, and thanks to everybody that turned up.
Thanks, Mark. It's always good to have you back. I'm glad you enjoyed your holiday.
Yeah, cheers, John. Look forward to seeing you in the East Coast broadcast next week, or the week after, whenever that kicks off again.
Yeah, no, I think we're back on Tuesday night, I think. But and any sponsors you want to give a shout out to, Mark?
I'd just like to give a massive shout out to Kumho Tyres. Been great to have them on board. We don't know how lucky we are to have a sponsor like that as our main sponsor. Also to Logitech, another great sponsor. Player One Sim Gear, Luke Holland and Cam Beacock. I know Luke's pretty busy with family life at the moment, and wishing Luke all the best, and hope everything goes well for him over the next few weeks. And thank Jamie for the great setups. Of course, Race Control, all the admin team at V8 Vets. My brother, Matty Parker, Stewie Hall in the team, always helping me out, always there to lean on. And track racer and turn race wheels.
Thanks.
Fantastic, Mark. So, Greg Sharp, P3 today in the race. How was that final battle with Jamie McKnight towards the end, and 13 positions gained in this race, mate? How'd that go for you?
Hello, Greg.
Yep. Do we have Greg there?
That's an epic effort. 13 places.
He done very well.
Hello.
There we go. We got him now. Did you happen to hear my question, Greg?
No.
I think we might have some technical difficulties.
Quite
Hang
possibly.
on. There I am. Gotcha. Wrong
Very
button.
good.
Wrong button.
Very good. So, of course, that epic battle towards the end of the race, Greg, with Jamie, and of course, 13 positions gained in this race. How'd that one go for you today, mate?
Yeah, good. Unexpected, actually. I wish I could do that in the actual series, but anyway, so I'll take it nevertheless. Excuse me. I pitted early because I was being held up a bit. I forget by who now, but I knew I was gonna have to take on more fuel, so people just kept crashing in front of me, and I managed to avoid everything. So yeah, it's good. And yeah, Jamie had me under fire for the last couple of laps, but I managed to hold him off.
You did very well, Jamie. It was a really good drive, Greg. Like, I was really impressed. Like, you battled through that pack, which was really difficult which would have been really difficult to do.
Yeah. I'm sort of not too bad on the brakes usually. So if I can manage to get up, a little bit beside someone coming into the braking zone, I'm fairly confident I can manage to get them. So and luckily this track you can overtake, unlike a lot of the tracks we race on. And early in the stints, I tried to look after my rear tyres because I think sometimes I drive a bit too much on the rears, and then by the end of the stint, they had it. So I've been trying to rectify that a bit.
Definitely paid off tonight. And anyone you want to give a shout out to, Greg?
Yeah, I just repeat everything Mark said. Basically, all the admin guys involved in V8 Vets, amazing. Jamie and Luke, etc. You guys doing the broadcast, all the guys doing race control. Kumho, as he says, Kumho Tyres, great to have them on board, and Logitech, and Penrite, our sponsor.
Fantastic. And just as we start to wind the broadcast up, I just want a quick big thank you to Daniel Yeaman, of course, who was the producer for SimSpeed TV tonight, and Jay Kennedy. It's quite an honour broadcasting-wise. I saw Daniel do it for Drop Bear Media, Drop Bear Racing, and I thought, I can do that. And I went on and did that with East Coast. And, of course, SimSpeed TV, the home of the great Jake Speary and Lockie Mansell. So it's nice to have my voice in this as well. So that's for me. And I don't know if you got anything else, Hamish, you want to talk about?
Just to give a quick shout out. So, of course, this season was my first season as a full-time broadcaster. Had some great opportunities come up throughout, doing vets, and then now doing Simsa as well, and even some of the other Type N events that are coming up as well. So, hoping to have a conversation with Luke as my team's actually just started up a broadcasting page called Infinity Broadcasting. So maybe Luke will let me do the vets on there. But even if we keep it on the vets page as well, that'll be good too. So very excited for next season. Hoping to still be a part of Vets Split 2, and yeah, I think it's been a great opportunity and such a fun time doing it these last 12 or so weeks. So
yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Oh, actually, I'll press the mute button. Just usually don't do this on a broadcast, so sorry to jump in here, John and Hamish. But yeah, just on behalf of SimSpeed TV, just want to also say thanks to everyone at V8 Veterans. Of course, it was Jay as head honcho here at SimSpeed who arranged the details with Luke to bring us on board for the series. But as you guys who are watching the broadcast can see on screen, we'll be back for round 1, split 1 of season 15. And I'll be back on cameras. We'll have our guys from SimSpeed on commentary once again. But also big thanks to both of you, Hamish and John, for helping make the broadcast tonight here at Silverstone possible. And bring all of the splits of Veterans together, both on track and here in the comms box as well.
Thank you so much, Daniel.
Yeah, well,
big thanks to SimSpeed. So,
yeah, well done, boys. And yeah, just can I just say, Hamish, great. I've really enjoyed watching the Split 2 broadcast because you're so passionate about your calling, and it's I just think you've done a great job with the Split 2 broadcast.
Thank you, Mark. Really appreciate it.
It's not an easy gig. And
yeah, thanks to SimSpeed. Cheers, boys.
Thanks, SimSpeed TV, and we might call that a night, and we'll see everybody again in the next week or two.
Yeah, now in our 3 sort of we'll go back to our 3 little separate zones. John, you over in Split 3, me in Split 2, and then Daniel behind the scenes here in Split 1. So it was a fantastic night, and great to be a part of it.
And we'll see you all then.
Cheers, boys.
Thanks.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favourite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.